What up, Doe? My next guest is a WWE superstar. You can find this brother in the ring, choke slamming his opponents. But you know what also makes me happy? You can find him in his community, giving back to the youth and the less fortunate. It's an honor for me to welcome to the Renaissance man, the very talented Titus O'Neil.
What's up, man? How are you?
All good, my brother. I appreciate the love. So, for our audience, where did you grow up and were you always athletic?
So I went to high school in a small town called Live Oak, Florida. I'm originally from Boynton Beach, Florida, which is down actually where Lamar Jackson's from, that area. And, nobody would ever have, people always told me I was too clumsy to play sports. As a kid, I was long and lanky and, and just, I wore size, I think, 14 shoe at 12 years old. So I was falling over myself on a lot of occasions. But obviously being able to go to Live Oak, get away from, home, get away from a situation where, I'm the product of a sexual assault. So born of a young mother. My mom was 12 years old when she had me. And, I was labeled a kid that would be a bad kid. And so it was never expected for me to graduate from high school, graduate from college, or go to college, play any sports. And so me getting the opportunity to go to the Florida Sheriff's Boys Ranch in Live Oak, Florida, not only gave me a safe place to go and a place to grow, but also gave me an opportunity to, become the athlete that I would eventually become.
Oh, wow, my brother. And so without trying to drum up any pain or depression or anxiety, your story is one of strength. And you mentioned being born as the product of a sexual assault to a mother that was 12 years old. So please, for the audience and for other brothers like ourselves that grow up in broken homes, single parent homes like myself, what was that experience like for you and your mom?
Well, I hated my mom for a young majority of my young adult life, and I have 3 younger brothers, and, I was 17 years old when I found out how I was conceived, all those years, I just thought me and my mom didn't get along just because my mom was a horrible mom. But, she drove up to Live Oak, Florida. I was doing really well in school, really well in academics. I was like an all-state player, on the football field and basketball, etc. And my mom never came up to the boys' ranch. And that was by design, because while they were working on me, they were working on her back home. And, it was a meeting that came about. She came up. She thought it was the appropriate time, since everything was going so well, to tell me how, I was conceived. And she was, it was very tough for her, but obviously she had lived for years. Because the guy that was saying that he was my dad, I knew he wasn't my dad. You know what I mean?
Right.
We all know, sometimes. And
Exactly.
but growing up poor, picked on because I had high water pants and shoes that talked and thick glasses. My nickname was Eyes. I get into a fight, my glasses get broken. It was a lot of trauma before I was even 12 years old that I realized, now we look at it now, and which is one of the driving factors and why I do so much for youth in underserved communities. Because, I wrote a book, cheap plug on your podcast, that there's no such thing as a bad kid. And that's because that's what I was always labeled, And then a guy at the Florida Sheriff's Boys Ranch told me that there's no such thing as a bad kid, and he wouldn't give me the answer as to why he said that. Because he said that I would grow and get better, and I would come up with the answer for myself. So when my mom told me, how I was conceived, all that hate that I had towards my mom instantly turned into love, because I realized that she was a kid trying to raise a kid. She was driven from St. Augustine, Florida at 11 years old, down to Boynton Beach, Florida to have an abortion. She jumped out of the car and said she wasn't going to do it. And months later, I was born. And so I can empathize and sympathize with a lot of kids, female and male, that grow up in the hood or grow up with, one parent or no parents. Foster care system, for the most part, in my opinion, has become a big money grab for a lot of people. There are some genuine people out there that want to, foster a child or adopt children, and unfortunately, a lot of the times, young Black children or children with disabilities don't get, adopted at nowhere near the rate that others do. And so for me, being able to have the opportunity to go to the boys ranch, I was one of only 3 or 4 Black kids on campus. I had to call a white woman, mom and pop. I'm the same dude who never grew up with a dad in the house, and it was a culture shock for me. But I would tell any and everybody, regardless of race, color, creed, religion, background, wherever you come from, like, we're all one situation away from being in a worse situation. We're also all one situation away from being in a better situation. And for those of us that have a platform and have an opportunity to make life better for others, and you don't have to be on television, you don't have to make a lot of money. Some of the most influential people in my life were like school teachers or high school football coaches, the Little League football coaches, and they don't make any money. It's just taking upon yourself as a human being to say, you know what, like, although my life didn't go the way that I thought it should go, and I wanted it to go in certain aspects, like, I'm in a much better situation than I should have been. And I only did that because I'm only in this position because people invested in me when they had nothing to gain in return. And I go to mental health counseling even now, it was something that I adopted into my life probably 4.5 years ago. And I go religiously. And I think it's important for especially Black men and Black women that come from traumatized backgrounds to be able to, you talk about trying to get fine and going to the gym and developing your muscles or trying to get your money right and all this and that. Man, if your mind ain't right, and your heart ain't right, all that stuff will mean nothing at the end of the day. And if you don't learn how to tell people no, because, that in itself was a lesson to me. The first counseling session that I had with my counselor, the first book that they gave me after the counseling session was like, the title of it is the subtle art of not giving a F, and he asked me a question. He said, if you had all the money in the world and you could solve one problem, what would it be? And I said that, I would make sure that everybody had a place to stay. I lived with a life of angst, of wondering whether or not I was going to come home to an eviction notice, whether the lights were going to be on. We never had a new car, so that wasn't a wish of mine. You know what I mean? It's just having a place to stay. And he said, all right, I'm snapping my fingers. Everybody in the world has a place to stay. Now, you're flat broke, but everybody in the world has a place to stay. Does that solve all the world's problems? I said, absolutely not. He said, that's when you have to understand that regardless of how much you do, there will always be issues that you can't help or control. And you got to learn how to sit back and say, all right, this is within my wheelhouse or it's not within my wheelhouse. And it's okay to say no. And then you don't have to be guilty about doing so.
So, wow, like this is already becoming one of my favorite episodes, my brother. And here's the reason. So, like, I do this show, and the beauty of the show is I cover trends in fashion, entertainment, current events. But my real goal is to interview people that I admire, and also people that have overcome so much turbulence in their lives that we now see you as a finished product, especially as a Black man, but underestimate the pain, the anxiety, the depression, all of the things, the trauma that we've had to overcome. And you're 6'4", 260, 70 pounds, right? And being 6'8", I was taught, and I'm pretty sure you heard this, because what you said, I went through. I was poor. We boil water to wash up, mayonnaise sandwiches, sugar water. My mother had a car, a Chrysler Cordoba. We used to sit at the light, and I used to move the mat and put my hand and feet on the ground like the Flintstones.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And
Yep.
so I term this episode Superstar, right? Because we know and appreciate you for that now. But also, you're still, like all of us, a flawed human being.
Mm-hmm.
And how has that counseling, how has that mental support that you constantly continue to get, what factor has that played in you to not only keep your sanity, but allow you to continue to function and juggle all of the things that you need to juggle professionally and personally?
Yeah, I think you know, for me, like not growing up with a father, you know, I knew even though me and my ex-wife, my mother's kid, the mother to my children,
Mm-hmm.
have been divorced now for almost 13 years,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, I've always said, even from a young age, because I saw my best friend dad get murdered, and he
Mm-hmm.
was like a big drug dealer, known drug dealer, etc. But to my best friend, he was a hero. You know,
Correct.
the guy bought shoes. He made sure like he helped single moms out with like whoever couldn't pay for, you know, football, you know, equipment or registration fees, and rewarded kids that made the honor roll, his kids, you know, and he was like always telling his son, don't be like me, you know, don't be like me, be better than me. And when he lost his dad, you know, to some people they were like, oh, he was a drug dealer, he deserved that life, this and that, blah, blah, blah. But to him, he was a hero. And as a young kid, I said, if I ever have the opportunity to be a father, I want to be a hero to my kids first.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I'm a hero to my kids, there's a pretty good chance I'm going to be the hero to everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And my oldest son just turned 17, just accepted, you know, he just committed to go to UCF to play football
Awesome.
next year, you know, on a full scholarship. Very excited about him. I have a big young 14-year-old, about to be 15-year-old, who will be in the same position 2 years from now, heavily recruited.
Mm-hmm.
But the most important thing is these kids are like great, great human beings. And I get phone calls and text messages all the time when I'm out of town or on the road or whatever. Oh, I met your son today. He was so polite. Oh, I met your son today and he helped my son out with X, Y, and Z. For me, having a great relationship with my children has helped me have a greater relationship with everybody else, because I'm at peace every single day that I come home. And you know, as a parent, I don't care what kind of day I have, coming home today, even if them being 15 and 17, is no different than when they were 1 and 2. They greet me the same way. Hey, Dad, what's up, man? I love you. You know, we talk about our day, this and that. Before they go to bed, they'll come and knock on my door and say, all right, good night, Dad. I love you. You know, this and that. We hug each other. We do a lot of stuff together. So that enables me as a man, period. You know, aside from black men, because I hear all the time that black men are, you know, absentee fathers and this and that. They don't want to, you know, talk about the systemic issues that reside around black men not being in the home,
Oh,
or or that black people are all on welfare when white people are on welfare at a much higher rate than we are. But that doesn't get talked about in the media. So it's my responsibility now to have this balance of being a father first, and then taking care of whatever else, you know, that I prioritize, maintaining relationships with great people, taking care of my business from a financial standpoint so that I can continue to give my kids the best life possible, because I don't want them to have the life nowhere near the life that I had, just like you wouldn't want for yours to have for you.
mm-hmm.
And but also too, everything that I do from a community standpoint, like I do it big, I do it grand, I do it with dignity, because you know these families that are in need, they're accustomed to being told, "Oh, you're only good enough to live in this kind of house. You're only good enough to drive this kind of car. You're only good enough to eat this kind of food." And
Mm-hmm.
so I don't, even at our back to school bash where I have 35, 40,000 people at Raymond James Stadium, I don't I don't have any food out there that I would not feed or eat myself. When we do stuff with kids, or we take them on trips, I would not put them on a bus that I would not ride on. I would not put them in a car that I would not ride in. I would not feed them what I wouldn't eat, because at some point in their life, as they get older, they'll remember the dignity that you bestowed upon them. And they'll also remember the class that when they get in a position to do certain things, like we're going to do it like this. You know what I'm saying? It's so many people scrambling to get, oh, I want to do a back to school bash. Let's get, 25, 30 backpacks. And, that's a feel good thing. Those backpacks don't mean nothing. Like I give out 30,000 backpacks, which the people lose that halfway out of the building. Let's talk about the eyeglasses, because I didn't have adequate eyewear, which I was labeled a kid with a specific learning disability because I had a behavior issue, right? I never was dumb, never was stupid. I just didn't care. Then you throw in the fact that glasses don't come a whole long way from when we were kids.
Right.
And being nicknamed Oz and getting into a fight and my glasses being broke. Now I got to make a decision, am I going to wear the glasses with a broke rim with the thing taped up, or just sit in the back and flick staples and play pencil breaks so I can be a cool kid in the back of the class, you know what I mean? And not get picked on and not get bullied. So we give all these things at the back to school bash. We make sure these kids have physicals. We make sure they if they need a dental screening or a dental cleaning or they need an extraction, they get it 100% free. They get an eye exam, and 10 minutes after the eye exam, they go and get a brand new pair of glasses. That's in a partnership with the Glazier Foundation and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Tampa Bay Lightning. I get everybody involved because that's how you make transformational change. You don't do it just scraping some stuff together and then putting together a flyer and being like, yeah, we did that. Really? You didn't. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And that's what changed my life, was transformational stuff, not transactional. Anybody can go and do Christmas gifts when Christmas time coming, but them other 364 days, that family's still struggling. That Thanksgiving basket is nice, it's cute, it's fine, but guess what? That they might even have a house to cook that meal in that you're giving them, or warm it up.
That turkey's still frozen.
Yeah, so let's try to use that as a carrot to get them to the other resources. Being able to take up a trade. We have a whole resource tent where people can come and they have to go by there before they get anything, right? So if you're homeless, or if you need education, or if you need healthcare, or you need all that stuff's in the whole little village where you got to go through before you get to any of the food, before you get to any entertainment, before you get any of that stuff. That's all so by design, because you're not coming out here just to receive a free gift. I want to be able to link you up with resources that can get you out of this situation. And for us, as athletes and entertainers, it's always been this whole, I gotta make it out of hood so I take care of my family. No, or I can buy my mom a house. That ain't your responsibility. You the parent, or your parents are your parents. Their job is to put you in a position where you are a successful, law-abiding, prosperous citizen. Now, if you want to buy your person a house, your mom a house or a dad a house, that's cool, but don't do it before you buy yourself a house.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying?
Secure your mask first.
Yeah, because they don't understand nothing about, okay, you buy them the house, but then are they able to keep the house because they realize that they got to pay taxes every year on the house? They got to maintain house insurance on the house. What if something breaks on the house? You buying this house that they can't even maintain. So put yourself in a position where you can buy you a house, have some equity, so that, you start building, I broke all the generational curses that were in my family. I was the first person to graduate from high school. I'm the first person to graduate from college, the University of Florida. I know you went to Michigan, but Florida is the greater university, and we've proven that over numerous years.
And Florida, I'm pretty sure you had much more fun partying.
Yeah. Because the snow, partying in the snow is not something that I think is an exciting thing to do. But Michigan's a great school. But my thing is, like, in order for me to be able to continue this trend where so many people invested in me that I'll never meet, Boys and Girls Club people that were on the board that I've never met, Florida Sheriff's Boys Ranch donors that I will never meet. I will never be able to meet them and say thank you. But what I can do, and what we all can do, is wake up every single day with a heart of gratitude and understanding like, man, I'm in a blessed position, and I'm gonna take care of me first. I'm gonna take care of whatever things I need to do first. I'm gonna take care of my family first, and then I'm gonna go out here and try to figure out a way to help change this world, one person at a time.
My brother,
Mhm.
you are, and I say this with respect, a nuclear weapon to society.
Mm.
I try to be that as well. Like everything that you're saying, whether it's not having a father in the home, actually doing the charity that makes it to the community and is a difference maker, not just window shopping,
Mm.
dedicating your time, your voice, your energy, your knowledge back into your people, back into your community. I'm really honored to have you on the show. And I just want you to know, if and when you're in Detroit, I would love to give you a tour of the school that I founded, the
Mm.
Jalen Rose Leadership Academy, as
Mm.
we go on our 10th year. And
Mm.
I spend time in Florida. I want to come stand next to you and
Mm.
support you and make sure that we're signing people up for trades and we're feeding people, because that's game changing things that go beyond what we do for a living. So
Mm.
I admire that, and I admire you tremendously. And I want to ask you a couple of questions about your athletic prowess. I appreciate your humility saying that you went to Florida, but dog, you played for Steve Spurrier. He's one of the greatest coaches of all time. And while you were there, you were one of the best programs in the country. So what was that experience like?
Man, my experience, at the University of Florida was second to nothing else in my life. It was a place where we knew every week we were going to play on national TV. At some point, we were, like as you said to that point earlier, when you were describing it, we were one of the top programs in the country year in and year out, and Coach Spurrier loved to win. And I had a lot of amazing teammates that were, great on and off the field. And to see some of them like now utilizing their platform, like Fred Taylor, with the I Am Athlete podcast and, Channing
Yep, they
Crowd,
killing it. Yep.
um, to see them now take, the sport of football um, and utilize it to better the lives of others. Um, you know, it to me it makes my time at Florida even more enjoyable because we had so much talent that was on our teams, and now majority of those guys are still being, they're not playing, but they're still playing at a high level when it comes to like putting smiles on people's faces and putting joy in people's hearts. And national championship, 2 SEC championships, always played in a bowl game, a New Year's Six bowl game, and but more importantly too, like I was able to get 2 college degrees from the University of Florida. I graduated undergrad in 3 years and got my master's in my 4th year. And I was vice president of student government, which is why I hate politics to this day. And I was able to do a lot of game-changing stuff. Like we talk about now the NIL, and colleges now athletes being able to be paid. I was one of the first people to fight in 1997, along with other student athletes in the SEC, to have student athletes be able to even make money during, like while they were in school, because so many programs had abused that opportunity by having
Exactly.
guy at a wash at a car at a car wash making $15,000 working at a car wash, that then they just cut everything off. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, indeed. Working
Yeah,
2 days a week.
yeah. And so, my argument was, man, I came from nothing. You know what I'm saying? And my mom ain't sending me no money in college, and I'm out here working hard. And yeah, the scholarship helps pay for school, but like I want to be able to take my girlfriend to the movies. I want to be able to put gas in the car. I want to be able to do the same thing this other college student's doing. And I think other athletes should be able to do that. If a regular college student wanted to start their own YouTube channel and they started making money off that, there's no issues with it whatsoever. But you telling me to be a student athlete.
Correct.
Well, if I'm being a student and an athlete, the student part of me says, you know what? I'm supposed to come to school and get the best grades possible to earn a degree so that whether football, basketball, or whatever sport that I'm playing pans out or not, I'm in a position to generate income to support and live my family and to live as blessed life as I possibly can. The NCAA has for years robbed athletes of this opportunity, and yet they've made billions off the backs of athletes. So to me, like, this is a very small step, but here's the kicker to it. All right, I'm in Florida. So all our Florida schools, they're in a much different situation than if you go to school in Georgia, because in Georgia, you got to give 70% of your earnings back to the university.
That's nonsense.
Yeah. So how, as an athlete, now that I have this NIL and this and that, and a lot of schools will be like, yeah, we they'll talk about NIL and they'll try to use that to recruit kids and this and that. They don't really want that because they don't want nobody to become bigger than the brand, right? Mm-hmm. So you go to these schools like UCF that, like, they're building something. You know what I'm saying? You go to a school, Appalachian State, places like that, like they're building on something. Schools have been a Power 5 and been in the top 5 and this and that. They're gonna get millions no matter what. They're gonna have 85, 90,000 people in the stands no matter what, right? Mm-hmm. So an athlete, deciding that he's gonna sit out because he can make $100,000, a year doing something, as opposed to going and beating his body up and then making $100,000, but then only getting 30,000 of that. And then on top of that, when taxes come out, now you drop down to like, 21, 18,000, something like that. Mm-hmm. So all your work is not really helping you or your family, So I'm glad that, so many athletes have stood up to this point. And even the courts now are starting to say, no, this is not right. You know what I'm saying? And it hadn't been right for years. And man, if we can turn those tables in other situations, the social justice, the justice system, banking, education,
housing,
your housing. Yeah. If we can start flipping that script on in those realms, now you got people, regardless of what color you are, but poverty, it affects everybody. But now you get a chance for everybody that's in poverty to actually start making real advancements in life. And then they can be those contributing people more so than the ones that, trust fund babies and this and that. And like, because a lot of them don't have an understanding of, like, their biggest, fear is like coming home and ain't no Wi-Fi, you know what I'm saying? Or, hey, you know what I mean? Like, they got options, what they get the chance to eat, what they can Uber Eats and all this and that. Man, half of these kids ain't got no phone to even Uber, more or less Uber Eats. They get home, they gotta get $5, go down to McDonald's, make $5 work for all 3 of their brothers and sisters, you know what I'm saying? So
live that life for sure.
Yeah.
And so also with the name, image, and likeness, as you know, being a college athlete from 91 to 94 and a member of the Fab Five, I understand exactly what you mean, because it was so very frustrating, to the point where one time we wore blank T-shirts in the warm-up line as a silent protest, because we realized that people were wearing these black shoes and black socks and these long shorts, and they were making billions, and I was broke. And like you said, my mother couldn't pay the bills when I lived at home. So now when I'm at college and I have an apartment, she definitely can't help me pay those bills. And the one thing about signing a college scholarship, even if you wanted to work, we're not allowed to work.
Correct.
We're not allowed to work. So that handcuffs us in so many ways. And I called that system indentured servitude, because that's what it felt like to me. It's like everybody eating, but I'm not eating. And
hey, but guess what, man? You got a full ride. You get a full education.
Shorty can't eat no books, dog.
Let me trade out my ability to earn money, and I'll pay for my own. I'll pay for my own class. You know what I'm saying? Let me
Correct.
let me flip this out. Let me take some of these uh these boosters that have these car dealerships and this and that, and they want to pay me as a member of the Fab Five or me as a
Yes.
national championship winner
Correct.
to come in and sit at their dealership and for an hour and a half or 2 hours, and they'll pay me $25,000. Man, y'all can have the scholarship.
Correct. That's the money in a year, no doubt about it. And as I mentioned, the theme for this episode, my brother, again, is superstar. You wanted the WWE's biggest. Did you grow up watching professional wrestling? If so, who was your favorite WWE entertainer?
So growing up, I watched it through a couple of different eras. So my first favorite was Junkyard Dog.
My dog from Detroit, baby.
Yeah. And one of those reasons was because he was so charismatic, and I remember watching a match of his. He was in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and he had won the match, and then a bunch of white wrestlers stormed the ring, and they beat him down, and the entire stadium in Green Bay, Wisconsin was booing the hell out of these white superstars for beating down Junkyard Dog. Mm-hmm. I said, man, that dude's a hero. Because regardless, if you can get people in like Lily White, Green Bay, Wisconsin at that time that love you like that, I want to be like that dude. You know what I mean? I want to be like that guy. And then obviously with the progressing, Ric Flair, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, all-time favorite, along with Stone Cold Steve Austin, because they were at the top of everything, the attitude and the swagger and all that stuff that came along with both of them. And it's like, I would love to go in and be able to slap my teacher, because I didn't have a boss at the time. He was pretty much beating up on Vince McMahon and going to the hospital and beating him up. Like watching that stuff on TV is like, yeah, man, I love this stuff. I never thought in a million years that I would be doing it. But one of my best friends is Dave Bautista, who is also a former WWE superstar. Now he's a movie star. He encouraged me to at least give it a try. And I walked in the back door of FCW, which is now called NXT now. And 2 weeks later, after I walked in the back door, I was learning how to become a WWE superstar. Now I'm, as you see it in the back, a member of the WWE Hall of Fame as the Warrior Award recipient. And so I'm forever immortalized with every other great that's been a part of this business. Still, and I'm the only active roster person to ever receive this award too. So incredibly honored, to obviously be a part of the WWE family, be an integral part in our business and how our business portrayed, 10 years ago up to now, with our female superstars killing it. When I first started wrestling, they get like 2 or 3 minutes on a match, and it'd be some BS. You know what I'm saying? Right. Now they're out there.
Female was like Elizabeth with Macho Man.
Yeah. They're either valeting or out there doing bikini contests or all kind of other crazy stuff. Now they're main eventing WrestleManias, main eventing pay-per-views and on the cover of video games, So the evolution of our company, I got a chance to host WrestleMania this year here in Tampa at Raymond James Stadium. And I got a chance to host probably the most diverse roster of talent in prominent positions ever in the history of our business, period. We had, for the first time ever, 2 Black women main event WrestleMania. First Black woman to win a Royal Rumble was in here. We had 2 Black men fighting for the Intercontinental Championship. We went into WrestleMania with a Black champion, WWE champion, and Bobby Lashley, and the first one to go in and come out as champion. We had a great Latino hit, and Bad Bunny, come and do his thing. And man, he's forever a WWE superstar after that performance. You know what I mean? But here's a guy that put his touring on hold and really dedicated himself to the craft and came and just knocked it completely out of the park. And, you know, to be able to sit back and kind of be a part of that and like be listed as the host, and then obviously Hulk Hogan, who was the person that put, you know, WrestleMania on the map, being co-hosting with him, you know, it just brought a lot of stuff full circle. Like you say, did I watch it growing up? Absolutely. Who, you know, and I'm sitting up here on stage next to Hulk Hogan, who, you know, everybody knows who he is globally, and I'm running the biggest show in our company existence, which is WrestleMania. It's our Super Bowl, and you know, you couldn't have told me this 15 years ago that I would have been in this position. But you know, God has plans, and when you do, I always tell people, man, consistency leads to breakthrough. If you're consistent, whatever you're consistent in is gonna eventually break through into something great. You want to lose weight, be consistent. You want to get in a better financial situation, be consistent. You want to put your family in a really good situation to buy a home, be consistent, be consistent, be consistent. And so I've consistently been a great human being to any and everybody that's come across my path. And because of that, I've been able to have breakthroughs, and now being a 2-time finalist for the the Muhammad Ali Sports Humanitarian Award, which again, takes me back to my childhood. You look all around my house, you see Muhammad Ali stuff. That's like my favorite athlete of all time.
Mine too.
Yeah, so now I get a chance, and it wasn't just because of his boxing; it was his
Not at all.
who he was as a man, and to be.
I don't even know his record.
You're right, exactly. Yeah, I couldn't tell you who he lost to. I just, yeah,
I don't even know his record.
Yeah, I would like really have to search, but you know, to be amongst these other athletes that are going out and being game changers and change agents for their communities, respectfully, in different spaces, 2 years in a row, you know, it's a huge honor in itself. And last year, COVID, we couldn't go to the ESPYs, you know, and this year we'll be able to go, and I'll be able to take my sons who, you know, they've been to a lot of great things, a lot of big moments, but this is definitely one of those big moments that I'm more than proud to be able to have them be a part of.
You definitely going to enjoy the ESPYs. And also, since you're going to be on the stage, you're going to have great seats. Make sure your son charges his phone, because it's going to be so many people that he's going to want to take pictures with, take videos with. And as somebody that also works for ESPN, it's a great event. Like y'all going to have a fab time. In New York City also.
Yeah, exactly.
South Street Seaport. You're going to have an amazing time. And with all of those accomplishments, and I knew you were going to be on the show, I had to stalk you a little bit. So I went on Wikipedia, and your government name is Thaddeus Bullard. Where did you get the name Titus O'Neil? And can you paint a picture for your first ever WWE match? And were you nervous?
Yes, so my wrestling name comes from my youngest son's name is Titus, and Shaquille O'Neal was one of my favorite athletes, you know, coming up. And it wasn't just because of basketball. Shaq did movies, Shaq did music, Shaq did commercials, Shaq had money coming, still got money coming in from everywhere.
On every commercial.
Yeah, that boy
selling pizza, everything.
Yeah.
And he got a burst from
Biggie. Right,
condos with elevators in them.
Yeah, yeah. And so I said, you know, I want to be the Shaquille O'Neal of the WWE. I want to be known for more than just being a wrestler. You know, I want to be known for being an entertainer. I want to be known for being a humanitarian. I want to be known for being a businessman. I want to be known because that's who I am as an individual. And so that's how she, you know, and obviously they switched the spelling up on it. It was supposed to be Oneal, and then they made it. And now I'm Irish, you know, I'm Black Irish. So,
they changed up the spelling on you?
Yeah, it's supposed to be Oneal, and I don't know, maybe it was a trademarking thing.
Trademark rights.
Yeah. So, but my first match was actually versus Rey Mysterio. Yeah, and you talk about nervous. It was on SmackDown, and I was nervous. And really, honestly, like Ray is such a professional, and he is so good that like he made everything like so easy. And it was just like I enjoyed every moment of it. And I was like, wow, this is what it feels like to be in the ring with somebody who's been a world champion. And literally, you know, me and him share a likeness, a like friendship with Dave Bautista. So him and Dave are very close as well. And they, you know, did a lot of stuff on television with WWE Tag Team. Dave turned on and beat up the little guy and all that stuff.
And go ahead and take a sip of your water. I'm gonna edit all of that out. Don't even.
I didn't want to be doing no cheap.
No. Go ahead and take a sip of your water. We good. We got like 5 more minutes, and then I'll let you get out of here.
Yeah.
I got a couple of more questions anyway. And because when you talked about, you brought up the Shaquille O'Neal influence, but a lot of us don't know that you're also a brother of Omega Psi-Phi.
Yes.
And I believe Shaq is too, right?
Yeah, he is. Shaquille O'Neal. Yeah,
absolutely.
And Spring '99 OZ.
And all I know is this: I used to be at those parties at Michigan and driving to Michigan State and Eastern Michigan University, and y'all be stumping around the party like School Days movie. I would be like, "Yo, I want to be like those dudes."
Yeah.
Y'all were the cool kids, no doubt about it. So, what is it like being a part of an organization that means so much to you and still be able to carry that into the ring?
You know, like I always, you know, I say I've never wanted to be the superstar that had to be like everything in one character, like just engulfing one character and have no, like you won't have any longevity. You know, if you sing the same type of way as a singer, you know, and you got the same lyrics pretty much you're not going to be in business that long. Mm-hmm. And for me, I've always wanted to make sure I incorporated who I really am into my character, my on-screen character. Because I remember even when I, you know, some of the brothers used to get mad because, you know, we're in an arena with, you know, I remember WrestleMania in San Francisco, you know, at what we were one of the first people to open up Levi Stadium. It's 80,000 people in there. And you know, I'll throw up the hooks.
There you go.
You got these white people, Asian people, people from overseas throwing up the hooks. You got bros like, bro, you got people out here throwing up the hooks. They don't even know what that means, this and that. And I'm like, man, listen, when Shaq used to throw up the hooks during the basketball, or when Michael Jordan throw up the hooks during basketball, or when Vince Carter throw up the hooks, you know, playing basketball, did any of y'all ever go and talk to them and say, hey, bro, you know, you might want to, you know, do that? Absolutely not.
No.
Because why? That is part of who we are. We should have that enthusiasm about who we are as Omega men. And if somebody mimics us, hey, it's not a bad thing. If somebody's in China and they're doing this, they don't know what it means. That's fine. It's entertainment. You know what I'm saying? It's entertainment.
Yes.
You got people doing this.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? You get mad at them because you ain't even from Wakanda. You ain't even black. You know what I'm saying? Like, Wakanda ain't a real place. Omega Psi-Phi is a real thing. I get it. I understand. But at the end of the day, whoa, like, you know, manhood, scholarship, perseverance, uplift. That's what our fraternity is about. When people get a chance to join in any character, you know what I'm saying, in WWE, Stone Cold Steve Austin talking, what? You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
Come on, man.
But also what that does too, but also your ability to throw up the hooks is no different from me starting my show and I'm bossing up, representing Detroit, my hometown, or saying what up, though. What that is personalizing you with your audience, but also forcing them to learn more about you than just watching you perform. So you're right. When you're in Asia and when you're in different states and you're throwing it up, initially, they probably didn't know what it was. but then they were forced to go learn what it was.
Right.
And that was your whole goal.
And the commentators have to, I mean, I remember Michael Cole was like, oh yeah, you know, he's getting ready to do the dog bark, you know, from the university. What's the gator bark? You know, no, it's the dog bark. And, you know, like, listen, so I had to go to him, explain to him what was going on so he could explain to the millions of people on TV. It's you know, his illustrious fraternity, Omega Psi Phi, with members like Shaquille O'Neal and Michael Jordan and Jesse Jackson. Like, give them that information so that people know, you know, instead of because one thing about us, we can get anything trending, you know, every Monday or every Friday, it's good trend, right? Yep. Once you say, oh, he's doing the gator bark, that's what people going to assume that it is. No, that's not what it is. Michael Cole, here it is. Sit down. Let's be here. This is what we're doing. And the great thing about Michael Cole is, like, he is the most professional announcer, I mean, teacher, everything, because he got everybody else to learn what it was and what it meant, and then got entertaining with it. So he's like, oh, let's do the dog bark. And me and Darren sitting down, and he's like, you know what I mean? So I'm like, you know, so it's taking that teachable moment and of who you are and what you represent, and for those that are uninformed, and giving them a chance to learn it, and then make fun. We're in the entertainment business. It's what we do. You're in the entertainment business. This podcast, you start off, what up, though? Yes. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, people that aren't from Detroit, they're going to be like, what does that mean? What up, though?
What is wrong with him?
Yeah. Is he all right? I've never heard Jalen talk like this.
Can't really understand him. You know, he's not very educated. Well, I only graduated from college. You know what I'm saying? But again, like, in all honesty, I appreciate you joining me. It's been a blast. Congratulations on your ESPY award. Our idol, Muhammad Ali, will be proud of you, my brother. A small portion because of your athletic prowess, more likely because of your intellect, your ability to give back, and also to represent our people with pride. So I appreciate you joining the show. But before I let you get out of here, I do a rapid fire segment called Gone in 60 Seconds. You ready to do this?
All right, let's go.
All right, you let me know your favorite WWE. You let me know your favorite WWF wrestler of all time. That was the Junkyard Dog. But who's your favorite WWE superstar of all time?
That would be Randy Orton.
If we had one night in Florida, what city should we visit and where should we eat?
Tampa, Florida, for Beachy Modern Italian.
Nice. And I heard there's a block in Tampa that I might have a lot of fun on, that I might try to sneak down there and have a couple of meals per se and probably donate and give back to the community.
A block?
Yeah, there's some special block in Tampa that I hear has a lot of adult entertainment.
Oh no, yeah. I don't go over there, man.
Okay, got it. Okay, so I'll have to get down there and do some charity work for the both of us. How about that?
Yeah.
If you, as Thaddeus Bullard, had a walkout theme song for your everyday life, what song would you choose?
Probably probably God's Plan by Drake.
That's a great one. And last but certainly not least, and again, I appreciate you joining me, my brother. What's the proudest moment of your career so far?
Proudest moment of my career so far would definitely be being inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame as a Warrior Award recipient. I won the tag team titles in 2015, and I was the first ever 24/7 champion. But, you know, being able to be, you know, in the WWE Hall of Fame as a Warrior Award recipient is definitely my proudest moment. Because it's one of those things where it's guys that have literally been in this company much longer than me, you know, had more illustrious, you know, accolades than me throughout, and they're still not in the Hall of Fame. And so that would definitely be my proudest moment up to this point.
Well, I'll see you in the community giving back. I'll see you at one of your next matches with the WWE because I'm going to come support you. Again, Titus, I appreciate you joining the Renaissance Man. Thanks a lot, my brother.
Thank you for having me, man.